Hello, fellow travelers. Under the watchful gaze of crows perched high above, we embark on a journey etched in shadow and ink, and guided only by the trembling needle of a compass that defies reason. Take a deep breath as we unravel the unknown.
Hello fellow travelers, my name is SG and welcome to the channel. Today we're back with Keito Cronus, and we are here to talk about a very interesting, would you say, zombie series, yes?
Yeah, we could say technically an outbreak or zombie or infected movie. I really wouldn't call them zombies, but more like infected. Infected.
Alright, we'll stick with the infected then. And of course we're talking about Quarantine and Wreck, or Record, depending on who wants to call it that. We will talk about the first ones and the sequels, mainly because there are sequels for both. And we are just limiting ourselves to the first and second ones. I know that Wreck has at least 3 or other sequels, yes?
There is about 4 movies for the Wreck movies and only 2 for the Quarantine movies.
Yeah, so we'll be sticking with just the 2. And seeing how they compare and which one, of course, is better at the very end of the day. Any words, Keito?
Personally, I would say there are some things that I thought they were funny from the sequel. Well, not the sequels, but the remakes of the movies. But we'll talk about them in a little bit.
Alright, but before all that, please leave a like, comment, subscribe down below. It helps me out. I'll put a link to Kaito's Twitch channel. Go check him out. I know that he does some good content and does some good stuff. And with all that being said, let's get started, shall we? Alright, when we talk about Quarantine and Wreck, they pretty much have the same story, or background if you will. That a reporter is going into a building with firefighters to see what's happening, and there is a sudden infection going on there at the same time. Would that be a loose interpretation, or what do you think?
Yes, so we have so both movies start with a night reporter just doing like a local
Like news station?
like a local news station for night people or like a night watchers, that people that can't sleep, just to watch something on TV. And they both start with like they're gonna be covering a life of a firefighter, of couple interactions with the firefighters, and then they both they're sent to they have a call of a disturbance in a apartment complex, and that's what they go see what's going on, to find out that there's an outbreak of some sort.
Alright, and which leads us pretty much to the full story of the first 2, Wreck and of course Quarantine. But the sequels are where it gets different, where they kind of divide from the original source material. Where Quarantine focuses on a plane where there is infected and they're trying to pretty much survive the ride to Los Angeles, right?
So originally they started from Los Angeles, and I think they were going towards Miami, but somehow they end up in Vegas.
And
Yeah.
Wreck's sequel is that another building that has been quarantined, and they end up going inside, right?
No, so they're actually in the same apartment complex. So they actually branch into the movie and talking about how the whole outbreak started. So it was more interesting, but the second movie is more based on pretty much the other side of the apartment complex, saying like they enter the first movie, they enter from let's say from the A wing, and this one starts from the B wing towards the A.
Oh, that makes sense. That's why it looks different compared to the first one.
Yes, so they're just pretty much just starting from the opposite side of the building.
Alright, and right off the bat, we do see the similarities, of course, to both movies, especially the first ones being pretty much a scene for scene kind of recreate. And we can see in the sequels that they do try to make it different, but at the same time keep it the same in a weird sense. Would that be a good summation?
Yes.
So, all in all, when we go back to the movies, we'd have to say Rec has a more defined storyline than Quarantine, with Quarantine feeling a little more out of place and feeling like it becomes two different series at the end. Would that be right?
Yeah, that would sound about right. They try to more branch out with the try to say like two different variants on the Quarantine movies, while Reg tried to do more of the we made the whole what this infection can do in the first one. Now the second one, we're gonna be using it to explain a bit how this whole infection originated from, but also showing how it affects other people.
I see. Makes sense. So, we covered the storylines. Let's move on to, shall we say, effects? Alright, when we talk about these kinds of things, like zombie film or infected films, really, one thing that does come up a lot is the effects, the creatures, the zombies, the infected. So, how would you compare them? Like, what do you think is the difference, or is there a difference, really?
So in both Rec and Quarantine, I would have to give it to Rec did a better job for the practical effects, not CGI, but practical. So anytime an infected would bite another person, you could see, well, pretty much it's like you're actually seeing this transcribing, because you can see them supposedly bite into someone, pulling back, and then like ripping the flesh after they bite, which, to be honest, it looks almost real. And when I first saw it, I was like, okay, are they actually biting into someone? Looking into that, it's just practical effects. And the Quarantine movie, they just do a quick bite or multiple bites, and that's it. You don't see the whole fleshy tearing or no like that.
Like the full detailed like tone and everything.
Yes, the only one that I would have to say that I thought it was a good effect that they did in the Quarantine movie had to be with one of the firefighters that supposedly fell from one of the floors from above and broke his leg, as well as his he had like I think like a cranial fracture or something like that. But his broken leg was the more like eye-catching part, because it's supposed you could see pretty much his bones sticking out of his leg, and it almost looks almost real.
Yeah, so they
So
kind of
I would have to give that one to them.
the Quarantine, yeah.
Yes, to that for the Quarantine movie, I would have to give that one a special effect to them.
Yeah, kind of like they tried to keep that sensibility, but they knew they didn't want to go too far like the original.
Yes.
Alright, that's fair. What about the infected themselves? What do you think about their appearance?
So the appearance of the infected, I would have to say they're almost back to back.
Really?
Due to the they're mostly covered in blood, and due to in the first movie, you're watching this from a first person. Due to they're watching it through the camera. That's technically speaking, I would say that's another special effect. No.
Yeah.
Yes. So while you were watching it through a first person, or you're watching just by a camera recording, it is a bit harder to see the infected due to the whole camera shaking, trying to focus the camera. But at the same time, this movie is supposed to be a bit of a quick pace movie. due to them, like I said, due to them being watching it from a camera recording.
Yeah, it gives it like a new vibe. And kind of like the hidden monster kind of scenario, where you don't really know what they look like or what's going on.
Yes, all you can hear from them is the panic in their voice, trying to escape from the infected or run away and try to hide from them.
Hmm. Interesting.
Oh, but yeah, throughout the movie, you can see that they had a good amount of time to do their makeup, their special effects, and all that to make you feel like you're like in the movie, trying to avoid these infected.
Hmm. It makes sense, and I do like the direction they went with. But like you said, I do think there's a charm to the first-person perspective, especially when you're doing like a creature feature or an infected story, because you're kind of like looking through the eyes of the main character, and if the main character's terrified, you're gonna be terrified as well.
Correct.
So I will have to give it to that. So for all in all, we had to say Rec has pretty much better effects, while the creatures do look pretty much the same.
Right.
Alright. Is there similarities or are there differences? Because we do know that a lot of the main cast from Rec and Quarantine are very different, with the exception of Angela in both movies.
Sadly, that is true. Both movies. So, in both movies, we're gonna say that we have the three main protagonists. Being you have Angela. Literally in both movies, they're both named Angela with the first name and last name, and Angela Vidal. Um, being the reporter. Second one, you would have your firefighter, and then your cameraman. Both movies keep the same pace, being both characters, all three characters being the main people trying to survive the whole outbreak.
Yeah.
How would I say this? So yes, we see both. Pretty much you see all three characters sticking together on both movies. The only similarities, like we said, would be the. Keep in mind this Wreck movie would be the original one. It is from Spain though, so a lot of people haven't really seen, or people who have seen this try to see this movie with subtitles because, spoiler, it's in Spanish.
Naturally.
And you can see that both reporters act about the same, doing the same. At the beginning, they both a bit camera shy, stuttering, or trying to get the right shot for the report, for their channel, and they act the same when they're in the what's it called, the inside the complex, to the point where they scream at the same time that they breach a door. So those are the characters that are always acting about the same. The cameraman, I would have to give it a bit more that the quarantine one, it's a bit more outgoing than the Rec one. The Rec one's still trying to stay more focused on recording all this, instead of the quarantine one. Like, he's trying to be more like, oh, I want to see. It's more like his personal thing that he's the one that wants to see what's going more, or like trying to control the reporter Angela to, like, hey, you need to calm down. You need to focus on on surviving, while, like I said, the Rec one, he's just recording.
Like in Rec, he's just more of a background character trying to just survive along with Angela.
Pretty much, yes. He'll once in a while he will say like, "Oh, we need to continue doing this, or we need to calm down to focus on getting all this to know what's happening in here.
Yeah, I kind of like more, mainly because it feels more real. You know, like they're both trapped in this scenario and they're both trying to figure it out too.
Yes.
So that's where like Rec kind of wins again in that scenario.
Yes, and then we have the last main character that I said would be the firefighter. On the So the thing is, firefighters are supposed when they get called, they're supposed to be more like level-headed and to try to save people. But we see in the Wreck movie that the firefighter, I believe his name was Manu. He's more of he starts level-headed, and then slowly you see him becoming more agitated because, like I said, you feel like you're in this movie, and he's trying to survive as well. Unlike in the quarantine one, he's more, oh, I need to protect these people that I'm in charge of.
Like the civilians.
He, yeah, the civilians, and then later on we see that he's more
More fearful, more losing it at the end.
not really losing it. He's more well, yes, he is. He eventually he does die, same in the Wreck one, but he's more physical. When the infected come in or like try to corner them, I will start pretty much he'll go down swinging. He started using his sledgehammer on them, and you just see the difference. This is the big difference between these two characters. While one's trying, yes, he started level-headed and trying to survive with the group. This firefighter in quarantine, he's more, oh, I need to actually fight back. I need to protect these group.
Like it makes sense. Like kind of Quarantine wants to focus more on the tropes of the characters, while the original Rec wants to focus more on the realistic aspects of them.
Yes, that's another thing. Because, like I said, yes, like I said, you slowly see him from the Wreck one. Yes, level-headed, calm, collected, and then slowly you start seeing him being more irrational. Like, yes, fear's starting to getting to him. Like, oh, we have to try to survive this, and then yes, later on he also does get infected, but Rek is still trying to just keep the more realism in this scenario.
Yeah, I see. That makes sense from what was seen in the movie says. So, if you had to rate which cast was better, which one would you say?
So I would kind of have to still give it to Rick. They still try to appeal or like show that they're actually human and they're actually trying to survive this. Some of them trying to you can see the panic in their eyes, trying to like, oh, we don't know when more infected will come in, or if we actually will manage to escape.
Makes sense. And what about the sequels? Can you really compare anything with them, or are they too vastly different?
They're vastly different, dude. We'll talk about that. How would I explain this? The second movie starts with them being boarding a plane, and before they take off, we see the co-pilot being saying, "Oh, like, oh, I'm a bit sick, and I might have gotten this from my dog or something like that." And slowly we see that we have another person, that one of the cast members, showing that they're watching a footage of a Los Angeles apartment complex having an outbreak, and slowly it starts going more of a, yes, there's an infected in the plane, but we need to restrain him, which props to that. Yes, you see someone that is being erratic or violent, you're supposed to, when you're in a plane, you're supposed to restrain him.
Yeah.
But that's another thing that got me thinking. So usually what they say is every plane has their air marshal. Guess what? There's no air marshal in this movie. Or in this plane, apparently.
That makes sense. It's a zombie film, so there won't be regular police officers.
And then slowly you start seeing like, yes, they land. Slowly more people start getting infected. And then from a large group and then somewhat controlled environment, it starts turning into a chaotic thing once more infected start appearing.
I see. And like we said, because the two different movies are vastly different, Rec 2 and Quarantine 2, we're not really going to compare the main cast for them, because that would be kind of contradictory, would it, in a way?
In a way, yes, it would, because we said in the beginning, Quarantine 2 still concentrates on the original plays being with the. So slowly in the movie, I found out that they're not a. Like I said, they're in Spain, but I thought when the specialists or the operators came into the second movie, I thought they were the Spaniard version of SWAT team. But later on in the movie, I found that they're more of a FBI tactical force. So being them with the supposedly more tactical team, it's made more sense to me that how or why they were sent there, because they're supposed to be sent there not to recover people, but to recover a sample of the whole outbreak.
Yeah, they get a sample of the infected.
Pretty much, yes.
Alright. So, like, right there, it's already vastly different.
Yes, completely different. One of them being trying to outbranch into like, oh, the infection is going somewhere else, while in the second movie of the original Rec movie is more of a, oh, trying to isolate this. Isolate it.
Kind of like the idea of Silent Hill versus like Resident Evil. You know, where you have professionals going in trying to get the samples of the infected. But in Silent Hill, you're just trying to survive.
Yes. So first, for the settings in both movies, the first two movies, I would have to say they're pretty much identical. Both movies in the first movies, both Rec 1 and Quarantine First, they're both concentrating on the whole apartment complex thing, bringing in together all the residents in the, would it be ground floor or
reception?
Yeah, the lobby, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then slowly you start seeing them going up the stairs and finding more people that didn't go to the lobby, and all the way to the final thing that would be the attic, pretty much.
Yeah. And like we said, the settings for the last two would pretty much be a plane or, again, the same apartment building.
Yes. So the similarities would be only on the first two movies, being both of them in a apartment complex.
I do like the atmosphere of it all, though. It does kind of give this creepier tone.
Yes, it does. Due to the so the one part that I thought it was great from both movies. So yes, they're in an apartment complex, but they're been cut out of they've cut the power off of the building, and it was great. One part was funny for me due to the in quarantine. They say, "Oh, we should try to get the power back on from the thing from the generator, or something like that." And I was like, "Didn't the city cut the power? So how would you guys power it back on?" Makes no sense for me, but we'll go with that.
Alright, so with that being said, that's pretty much the full settings of it all, yeah?
Yes, but on one of them being the apartment, and then the other two being apartment and plane.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't really say it's just the plane, because they do go into the, like they say, oh, spoiler, like it says in the title of the movie, Quarantine 2 Terminal, due to them being at the terminals for the airplane. Well, not really in the terminals, but more in the kind of like workstations or something like that.
Yeah, for the airline, the little workstations. Oh no, it would be terminal. It would be terminal.
All right, yeah. Well, we'll go with that. They're in the terminal, and the airport terminals.
So, all right. Well, with that being said, let's move on to our next topic, shall we? All right. Now that we talked about the main points of the movie, let's talk about the infection itself. How does it start? Is it the same in both movies, in both universes, or is it different? And for that, let's go to our expert, Keito. What do you think, Keito?
So, the infection or the virus, it is completely different in both movies, due to the original one being, well, in the first movie, you won't understand what they say that the virus is. They say, yes, there are similarities to, well, they said that or would it be considered patient zero?
Yes.
Or
like
the
the start-
carrier of the, yes. So the carrier apparently in both movie is a dog from the dog of a little girl that lives in the apartment. That their dog is named Max. Guess what? They're both in both movies. It's the same thing. Both carriers are a small dog named Max. But the only difference is that the virus in Rec movie, apparently they say he showed symptoms of rabies. Although the virus in Rec is not rabies. It's something completely different, being a, well, how would I explain this? It's so in the movie, in Rec movie, they show that there's a girl that show symptoms of possession.
Yeah.
Suddenly, the Vatican decides to, oh, how about let's do some research if we can make it into a, how would I say this? Into a cure. Instead of sending people to do exorcisms, let's make it into pretty much a shot, a vaccine to cure people from possession, or
Yeah, that would be about right. It's they turned this possession into an antivirus, if you will.
pretty much, but something goes wrong, and the virus is not just a normal virus, but a demonic,
possession.
yes, demonic possession virus.
Ooh.
So I would definitely not want to be there. Showing, we'll talk about another part of that virus, but going to the quarantine movie, they say same thing. Oh, we had a small dog that had symptoms of rabies, but the different thing is that his rabies was a bit more violent. That in just a couple hours he had completely infected all the animals from the veterinarian or shelter. And then they traced it to the apartment complex, showing that yes, there apparently is rabies, but it's just been a more aggressive type of rabies or modified in a
So,
way.
so to kind of break it down, the original Rick has the infection being a kind of demonic possession turned into a vaccination, to where quarantine has it more of a mutated version of rabies. Would that be right?
Yes.
I kind of like Rex
We
version
do
more.
have. So another, I forgot to say, another difference is in the both movies, or the first two movies, is on the whole attendance of the apartment. In the Rec movie, they have one that he's a practitioner of medicine, or he's trying to become a doctor, but he's just starting. And in the quarantine one, that practitioner is actually a veterinarian. This is how we get the whole confirmation that yes, it is rabies, due to the veterinarian when he's examining the people that have been infected, or well, before they show the infection be turning them into actual infected. He starts saying there's a lot of similarities with rabies, foaming to the mouth from the mouth, um, being sensitive to loud sounds, same as bright lights, trying and pretty much just trying to not really stay away, but kind of avoid water. All the symptoms from rabies.
Interesting. So it is interesting to see how the two different movies took it two different directions in a weird way.
Yes, and like I say, we were saying, the original was Wreck, but they hadn't explained what the virus was in the first one. So they were just saying that it kind of resembled rabies. So I feel the remake, or the remake, which was Quarantine, they decided to just take it as rabies.
Yeah.
I think then later it was like a few years later, we show Rec 2 came out explaining that it's not rabies, but a more aggressive type of virus, being a demonic possession virus.
Which really does go back to my comparison of Resident Evil, doesn't it?
Yes, pretty much. First of them, they're like, oh, it's just an infection, but later on they find out it's just been a modified pathogen, then slowly becomes a weapon.
Yeah.
Same thing in these movies. Well, more in the Wreck movie.
Again, just making Rex storyline seem a little more interesting than Quarantine's.
Yes, and then we have Quarantine 2. They continue being that, oh, there's, like I said, there was the co-pilot says that, oh, he probably got something from his pet dog, showing that, oh, we have someone that is already carrying the virus, but hasn't really showed symptoms. Slowly, we see another person. Like I said, we have one that is watching the aftermath of the apartments. Slowly, we found out throughout the movie that he's actually
Like lived in that
the
apartment
co-
too.
he lived in the apartment. He was in the attic where, spoilers, he did experiments with rabies. So there you go. We confirm another thing, that it is rabies, but he confirms that, or says that this is more of a modified, more aggressive type of rabies virus that slowly becomes causes people to be more, like we said, more aggressive.
Yeah. That's why we call it the infected rather than calling it the zombie.
Yeah, they're not really zombies, because if we think about zombies, another thing is that they you would be able to take them out from a headshot or something like that, destroying the brain, like they say.
Yeah.
In the quarantine movies, you can just take them out by just pretty much just placing a well shot anywhere in the body, being the heart, being the lungs, being the head, anywhere.
You make it feel a little
Place.
more related to humans than actual zombies.
Yes. Same for the wreck movies. One well placed shot and they're down for the count. So yes, they're not really considered zombies, but just infected.
Hmm. Alright, with all that being said, let's talk about our final thoughts. Our final verdicts on which one's the best series. So, with my opinion being, Rec definitely seems a little more detailed and kind of fleshed out over Quarantine. I do like the characters a little bit more. But what do you think, Kaito?
So my personal thoughts is that Quarantine One was more of a it flopped because it was just pretty much just a copy of the first Reg movie. Although they did redeem themselves through the second movie because they have more characters, they have more of the suspense into it. Although they did lose the downside was they did lose the first person point of view, unlike Rec 2, that both movies stayed strong because yes, they kept the first person view, but they started answering the questions of viewers of what this virus or infection was.
Makes sense.
So yeah, I would have to give it to Rec.
So, we're both in agreement on this, that Rec definitely was the better thought out process.
Correct. Although we although we didn't talk about the other two Rec movies, the third one is slightly connected to the first two, but that will be for some other time.
Yep, if Quarantine 3 ever comes out, or maybe we want to talk about it probably next year for Halloween for a special, if you guys want it, we'll definitely go back and check out the last two Rec movies. I think that'd be fun. I think that'd be interesting, yeah?
That would be fun to watch. I mean, yes, I do enjoy these type of movies because one, I do love my watching horror movies. I'm kind of an horror movie fanatic or addict. So anytime I get a chance to see a horror movie, I like to slightly, what would be the word? Dissect the movie to see what made the movie tick in a way.
So I think it's good. Both good are okay movies, I think, with Rec being better. And Quarantine definitely being worth a watch, I think. At least for, like, if you have nothing else to do on, like, a Saturday or something.
Well, yeah, I would have to say that. The Quarantine movie is more of a... What would be the word? Watered down version of Rec. So if you guys are not really into gory things or very, like, almost realistic, I would suggest for someone to see Quarantine. Like I said, it's pretty much just a copy of the original one, but you'll be able to watch it and not be
Kind of grossed out by it.
Yeah, not grossed out from the effects of the original being Rick.
So, with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Any last words, Kaito, about the movies or anything else, really?
Well, from the movies, I would say that if you guys ever watch I want to say the second movie of Rec, do be a bit more open-minded, because like I said, a lot of people don't really talk, or will maybe say it's a bit of blasphemy, because they are talking about demonic possession and all that stuff. And just to keep in mind, it is a movie, and don't take everything too serious. Just try to enjoy the movie.
Very fair. I think that's a good point. Yeah, you gotta just sit back and enjoy it sometimes.
Yes, I mean, this is more of a movie and not something that is real life. It's just to make it enjoyable in a way. Well, not really enjoyable. I mean, you are gonna get scared in a few parts, but the jump scares.
Yeah. But thanks again, Kaito, for coming in. I hope this was a fun experience for you. I think it was good.
It was a good experience. Due to being in the spooky season, I like being watching. I've been watching a few horror movies, but with Rick and Quarantine being one of them.
Nice. Alright, if you guys like this content, please like, comment, subscribe down below. If you have a suggestion you'd like the both of us to talk about, please leave it down in the comment section. We'd love to hear it. And of course, if you have your own opinions about Rec or Quarantine or any of the sequels, please, again, leave it down in the description. We'd love to start this conversation. But, with all that being said, thanks again for watching, and we hope to see you guys next time.
Hell yeah.